Hello everyone, this is MJ and you are at my channel called Reading This Life. My channel is where we talk fiction, friends, and fun. Today, let's talk a big, fat, juicy book. It is The Shards by Bret Easton Ellis, a full book review. Stay tuned. And before we get started, let me know, have you read Bret Easton Ellis in the past? Let me know in the comment section down below. This is my first. I have never read American Psycho. I have Less Than Zero, never read it, going to read it now. My best friend got this and told me about it, and she got it from her library, and she said it was good. She's like, you'll like it. I said, okay. So I put a hold on it, and my hold came through the last week of February. This sucker is 600 pages. Wait, is it 600 pages? Let's see. It is, almost. Like 595 pages. It's substantial for me. I'm a shorty. I like 300 and under, to be honest with you. But it was good. It was really good. So, trigger warnings for animal abuse, violence, drug culture, graphic sex. I think that tops the list. Awesomeness warnings for music, for fashion, for flashbacks to the 80s. This book came off to me almost like a love letter to Los Angeles. So, it is written by Bret Easton Ellis. It takes place with him being the protagonist in the book. So it's actually Bret Easton Ellis going back in time and telling us about a story that he has avoided for the last 30-some years. Me going into this book, I had no idea what it was about. I said, let's just go. It's been a minute since his last book. I think his most recent book might have been 13 years ago or so. So I'm like, let's just dive in. So I did. And the first paragraph, I read it to you in my recent reads 2 weeks ago. It's just so good. It's just so good. There's an event that happened back in 1981. And it is Bret talking about his high school days and his relationships with his classmates and his friends. And there is a serial killer that is making its way through the town where we live. Now, Bret at this time is only 17 years old, I think. So we are seeing this all play out through the eyes of a 17-year-old. His parents are in Europe. He's staying at the family home. He has a housekeeper. There's a dog, and he drives to school in his, luxury car. It reminds me of like Beverly Hills 90210, but make it dark, but make it really dark. That's what I would categorize this book as. Is it disturbing? Yes, there are scenes that are very disturbing. The graphic sex, it is what it is. It's in the book. If you have any type of aversion to, same-sex relationships or the graphic nature, maybe this book is not for you. But it is important in the story, I feel. Is it gratuitous? Yes. But is it necessary in the story? I think so. I really do. Because we're talking about relationships. We're talking about relationships that are forming. There is a new person that comes to school, and there are a lot of concerns and mystery and doubts about this new person. The whole book really is a roller coaster ride. You think that you're going on one trip, and then all of a sudden there is a left-hand turn to Albuquerque and you have no idea what's going on. I questioned myself a number of times during this book as to who is involved, who is really being represented, meaning, is the new kid the primary suspect, or am I missing something? Is there a cult? Is there something going on? And it just kept me in. It kept me in the story, and I love that. Would I call this a page turner? Yes. Would I call it also a love letter to the 80s? Yes. There is I mentioned this before as well, there's a Spotify playlist out there. There's a number of them. One of them, I believe, is curated by Bret Easton Ellis. And basically all of the songs that are in the book are in the playlist, which is fantastic. Like we're talking some good tunes, people. So what did I love about this book? I did enjoy his storytelling. I did enjoy sometimes at the end of the chapter, it wouldn't so much be a cliffhanger, but it would be one of those statements that would just like take you aback. You might catch your breath or something. I liked that it kept me guessing. My head was in the book. My head was in the game trying to figure out exactly what was going on. The dynamics of the relationships between the friends, it reminded me of my days in high school. Now, I went to a high school where a lot of shenanigans went down because it was a prep school. So, were there drugs? Yes. Was there sex? Probably. And, the story goes, the more money you have at the school, the better the drugs and the house parties you had. And that kind of was how it was. He also gives a little glimpse into the LA culture. He talks about him trying to get less than zero. He talks about meeting with a producer, which was the father of his girlfriend. So we have like casting couch stuff in there too. It's entertaining. What else did I love about the book? I did enjoy the ending. I savored the ending. A couple times I was like, wait, what? What's going on? Because you think something is going one way and then it totally goes in another. But you have to watch the signs. Watch the signs when you're reading the book. I loved his prose. For 600 pages for me, it went by very fast. The fashion. I love the fashion. They talk about docksiders. They talk about polo shirts. They talk about, I'm sorry, it's not a Bret Easton Ellis movie unless you have your Wayfarers on. Just all of that, going to the Galleria, shopping, just good stuff. But Bret Easton Ellis, he does take you on a tour of Los Angeles. He does take you through all the streets and his shortcuts and what he would, if he would go on the PCH and stuff like that. So you really do get a California vibe with this book. Let's see, what didn't I like? For Bret Easton Ellis being a 17-year-old and his friends being 17-year-olds, super maturity level. I'm sorry, but I did not act like that when I was 17. I was still like, chewing gum with my mouth open and, just being like a punk. These 17-year-olds were very put together and very mature and held proper conversations and meaningful conversations and adult conversations. And I had to dial myself in, and actually Bret helped do that with you when he would talk about going to this prep school and how, they were reading a certain book in English class. It brought you back that, oh my God, they're all still in high school. That's the one negative that I would say. I don't really think there was anything else for me. I don't know how this book is faring in terms of the review world. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed reading it. I didn't mind any of it. Watson didn't mind it either. And would I recommend it to a friend? Yes, I would. As long as they were okay with a little bit of a disturbing level to it. As long as they were okay with all of the trigger warnings that I talked about. I thought it was a great read. It was really, really well done. And I did the library version. I also had the audiobook to listen to when I was in the car, and that is narrated by Bret Easton Ellis. And then Book of the Month, one of the picks was to put it in your box as an add-on. So this is a keeper for me. And I'm so proud that I read it. I'm just, when I see a substantial book like this, I mean, honestly, like I would try to avoid it for a pretty long time. And that's just me. I have a fear of chunksters. I have a chunkster fear. Is that a thing? Hashtag chunkster fear. But I did enjoy it. So if you are a child, if you are Gen X and you are a child of the 80s and you're looking for a a story about relationships, and then there's a story about a serial killer and a whodunit, and is the new kid in school related to that serial killer story? If you're looking for a little bit of mystery, a little bit of retro cool, something to take you back in time, this could be the one for you. That's it. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. On Storygraph, I would probably give it 4.5 out of 5. I really, really enjoyed reading this. And now I'm ready for something else. All right, everyone. That is all that I have here. Would you like me to read you the blurb? I brought you in to get a little cozy. A sensational new novel. This was released in January. From the best-selling author of Lesson Zero and American Psycho that tracks a group of privileged Los Angeles high school friends as a serial killer strikes across the city. 17-year-old Bret is a senior at the exclusive Buckley Prep School when a new student arrives with a mysterious past. Robert Mallory is bright, handsome, charismatic, and shielding a secret from Bret and his friends, even as Robert becomes a part of their tightly knit circle. Bret's obsession with Robert is equaled only by his increasingly unsettling preoccupation with the Trawler, a serial killer on the loose who seems to be drawing ever closer to Bret and his friends, taunting them, and Bret in particular, with grotesque threats and horrific, sharply local acts of violence. The coincidences are uncanny, but they are also filtered through the imagination of a teenager whose gifts for constructing narrative form, the filaments of his own life, are about to make him one of the most explosive literary sensations of his generation. Can Bret trust his friends or his own mind to make sense of the danger they appear to be in? Thwarted by the world and by his own innate desires, buffeted by unhealthy fixations, he spirals into paranoia and isolation as the relationship between the Trawler and Robert Mallory hurls towards a collision. Set against the intensely vivid and nostalgic backdrop of pre-Less Than Zero LA, The Shards is a mesmerizing fusion of fact and fiction, the real and the imagined, that brilliantly explores the emotional fabric of Bret's life at 17, sex and jealousy, obsession and murderous rage, gripping, sly, suspenseful, deeply haunting, and often darkly funny. The Shards is Ellis at his inimitable best. I liked it. That would be the other thing that it kept you guessing, because I did not know if this book was fiction, if it was semi-fiction, if he's actually going through things that may have happened in his life while he was a teenager. The introduction makes you feel as if this went down and he was a part of it. And then you kind of go through the story and you're not sure, and it kept me guessing the entire time, and I didn't know the truth until the end of the book, after the epilogue. And I loved it. I loved having that feeling of, is it real or is it Memorex? 80s reference. All right, everyone. That's it here from me. I hope you're all doing well. Make sure that you are taking care of yourself so you can take care of others. If you pick up the Shards, let me know. Let me know if you enjoy it. Again, trigger warnings. Animal welfare, animal mutilation, violence, graphic sex, various types of graphic sex involving same sex and not so same sex. Drugs. I think that's it. And then just 80s fashion PTSD. All right. That's it here for me, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Take care of yourself so you can take care of others. And I will see you in my next video, which will be sooner rather than later. So until next time, goodbye for now.